Welcome to the podcast, Entrepreneur Perspectives, building and protecting your business one podcast at a time, a CADSource family production. In this episode, we're going to talk about how small businesses can stand out, how to think like a futurist, and personal engagement on social media. This freestyle episode is at the core of what we do, helping you build and protect your business. We hope the perspectives we discuss on creatively running your business will help you in 2018 and beyond. Thank you to Jared Nichols for joining us on this episode. Jared Nichols, a previous guest and current friend, yes, I said current Jared, is a futurist, advisor, and faculty member at the University of Tennessee's Haslam College of Business. He teaches leaders, teams, and individuals how to think like futurists so they can create the best future for themselves and the people they serve. Jared is highly passionate about these topics, which is why you may hear him banging his hands on the table. With that type of energy on deck, let's not wait anymore. All right, so we're here with Jared Nichols today of the New Futurist.
The New Futurist
is here live in studio. It is a studio, and it's a nice studio. I hope you like it.
It's a beautiful studio.
It is. It's very nice.
The sound
quality is sound padding. It's pretty amazing.
I'm impressed.
So in the studio is Jared Nichols, the New Futurist, myself, Eric, John Priore. John, as we know, is a college student in Western Carolina. He's also working with us full-time at CADSource. It's pretty amazing. Yeah. We talked to another college student who's also working full-time, and we'll refer to that in our show notes. Jake, doing some good work.
He was.
And so let's get into it a little bit, Jared.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great.
Business is good?
Yeah.
That's what people ask a lot, right? Like, you don't know what to say. You're like, business is good?
It's like, no, yeah. What it was, it's silent. All of a sudden it's it's terrible.
I think those, like, when you hit someone with something they were not expecting, that's more fun, right?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that is kind of an interesting question, right? Business good? I mean, our natural inclination is to say, oh, yeah, because I think that's part of our culture, right?
Mm-hmm. So what are the things that people say, though? Like, I'm busy. I'm really busy. What does that mean?
I can, when somebody says that they're really busy, usually what they're telling you is, it's not necessarily that business is so good that they're busy. If they sound stressed, it's usually because they're making a lot of things that aren't important to them.
Right.
And I've seen this a lot. You and I have talked about this before. That like when we talked about it in the realm of how do we think about the future, even the short-term future, not just the next 50 years, but there's this tendency or this belief that it's better to do something, even if it's the same old thing, than to wait and do nothing. And so the busyness tends to come from this belief that the more busy you are, that you're actually working and that you're actually doing something that's important. And I mean, I can speak from personal experience. When I was in the insurance business, before I started doing this, I was busy all the time. And a lot of that was self-inflicted. So sometimes when somebody's really busy, it could be that they're just really busy. And if they're really happy about it, then that is a good sign. But if they seem stressed, then it seems like chances are they're probably not really sure what direction they're going in.
Right. And you can be busy doing the tasks, which I think is what you're getting at. You get caught up in the mundane tasks, which, again, they're very important. Right? You got to do your work. You got to send the emails. You got to have the meetings. But what are you actually building? And that's kind of what I look at. And if, in this time of year, as we record this is going to come out at the beginning of 2018, which is kind of crazy. The future. Yeah. The future's in it. Did you see that?
That
was good.
Nicely done.
But the fact that, like, this time of year you can actually work on your stuff, work and build something in your business. That's what we talk to a lot of clients about, is how can you build your content asset, for example? How do you start creating content, writing blogs, doing videos, whatever that is, or thinking bigger about your business? And not, like you just said, not 50 years down the road, although your legacy, I think, is a big part of why we're doing what we're doing today. Because that comes up fast, right? Time goes by fast. But what are you actually doing that's going to not only make a difference today, but playing the patient game that's going to take shape in the next 6 months, a year, 2 years from now? Yeah. And that what we should be working on? Isn't that what business owners, entrepreneurs should be focused on, as opposed to, let me game this system real fast in whatever that is and get a quick sale? Don't get me wrong, we all need sales, we need to drive business, but shouldn't we be thinking to a bigger level than that?
Yeah.
I know we do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody gets caught up in the, got to get through this, got to get this done.
Yeah.
I mean, from your standpoint.
No, I'll tell you. I mean, recently I can speak to that. I mean, it was maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago when I had and I shared this with you, but just kind of had this breakthrough for myself and my business, and it was this, and this ties into what we're talking about. But I was busy restructuring my business, and I had all the stuff in the right place, but every time I went to pull the trigger, I just would stop, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. And it was the realization that my brand, my message, my life, these things were misaligned, right? I mean, talking about business and what you're doing and everything else. I mean, we can build something for the future, but what I think the real issue is not about whether we build something or not. We can all build something, but I think the real question is it something that's fulfilling, and more importantly, is it aligned with who we are as people? Because sure, I mean, Americans are great at getting busy. We can get really busy, and we may go nowhere with that. We may build something that may not last. So I think the most important thing, especially going into 2018, is to step back and say, is my life and my business, are they all aligned? We have this myth of work-life balance. It really needs to be work-life alignment, because work is part of your life. And I think that's what most people tend to be hungry for. And I know for me, when I finally got that clarity about all of that lining up, I mean, it changed my personal life. I changed habits. I stopped drinking 3 beers at night, and sometimes 4, depending on what the day was, every single night. So I just had these unhealthy habits, and still working out and doing all that. But no, it was, my whole life had to change. I think that's what we really need to strive for going into 2018. Before you build something, make sure that your life and what it is that you're trying to build are aligned, because that does play into that legacy.
No, I love that. And you had the balance versus alignment, and we talk about balance a lot. And there's nothing wrong with saying that and getting into the balance world, but I agree with it because, I'll think about people ask me, how many hours a week do you work? And I'm thinking, man, I have no idea how many hours. And I start telling people, John, I talked to you about it. You want to get to the point where you don't think about how many hours a week you work. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. I have no idea. And it's not to say that you're overworked. It's that everything that you do is aligned with what you actually are doing in your life. Yeah. So I'm thinking about it all the time. When we do the Sportspreneur articles, when I'm watching a game, I was like, I want to watch this game not only to get away from things and watch sports, but I want to watch it to maybe learn something from it, and then I can apply it to business. Is that work? I don't know. Does it matter? No, but go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, Eric, and I just want to, for your listeners, and Eric, I've known you now for going on 2 years?
Too long.
Too long.
Too long.
Oh, not too long? Not 2 years, too long.
Yeah.
That's right. But I would say that you're somebody who, I think you recognized this early. When I had my own breakthrough, I thought about you and I thought, Eric was onto this, when I first met him, right? And it was just, there's never been a point where I've looked at you, at least in our experience, and thought, man, he's out of alignment, or not that was my thought. Not like I'm looking around, who is out of alignment?
That's right. Right there, so I didn't know. Out of alignment. Yeah. Oh, there's cars driving by. For some context, we're looking on Providence Road, which is a madhouse, by the way.
It is.
It's a madhouse. Charlotte is crazy. Continue.
I want to just say, I say that to you is that I admire you for that, because you've been going down this path, and every time you take on something, I never see you jump into anything haphazardly. I mean, John's sitting here. I see you guys. You always have a plan and something set in place, and you know why you're doing it. I can't say that I've always done that. I mean, I can do a lot of things, but I think that's something we always have to strive for, is that we really have to understand, why exactly am I doing this? What's that end goal? And you've always been really good at that. So.
No, I appreciate that. But a lot of times, though, it comes down to feeling, because when we started writing Sportspreneur, I didn't know. I wasn't 100% sure exactly what was going to play out. And I think that's uncomfortable at times, but sometimes you just feel something about it, and you're like, maybe I don't know exactly where this is heading, but I got to continue this thing going. And you get feedback, and the feedback's good, and then you carry on and just get some energy from it. And I think that's part of it. I don't know if that fits in with alignment, or if now we're getting a little bit deeper than that.
I mean, I'd say from my perspective as a college student, not a business owner, but learning from Eric, from Jared, from Shane, and then talking to business owners every day about who wants to be on the podcast, who wants to come guest blog for us, and who wants to work with us. The ones that bring the energy, that bring the drive, are the ones who are like, I don't know if I'm working or not, because it's part of my life, it's who I am, and it's aligned with themselves. So, yeah.
Alignment. That's the word of the day.
There it is.
It is good.
Look at that, guys.
Yeah. Everybody.
We're aligned.
Yeah.
There it is.
But
nice.
It's an important topic, and I think Jared nailed on it. We got to get, is it video? Was it an article? Was it both? I don't remember, but it was good, and we have to have it on our show notes so other people can read about or see or yeah, exactly. But it's an important part of, I think, everything that we're doing is staying in alignment. Don't get caught up in those big questions of how many hours a week do you work? How many employees work for you? How many of this? Where are you going?
Right.
And are you aligned? Is everything that you do kind of aligned with that? But you need to shut off too. Don't get me wrong. We all need to shut off and recharge and get away from it.
That's why I come here.
That's right.
So I can recharge and get away from my
Well, and on that point though, we've always said, and we were at lunch earlier today, and I talked about I like having you, Jared, in the office. Same thing with John. There's two people in the office because you guys bring this energy and you have this personality where, not every day's perfect, and you might be having a bad day, or the Jets might have lost on Sunday, and you're like, hey, man, so it's frustrating, but you have a way to just be upbeat about something and giving things a chance and moving forward with it. And I think that's the culture aspect. So when you are aligned, again, keyword of the day, everything fits that. So you surround yourself in those settings and with those people, and the stuff that you read and the stuff that you watch is all going down that path.
No.
Now you have to keep an open mind, because sometimes you can get so misguided that you think you're going down the right path, but you've just been, brainstormed into believing something that you maybe don't believe in.
Well, that goes back to what you were saying, the gut, right? I mean, it's a feeling. I do think that if you're really in alignment, you have total peace. The way I described it, is that I would rather wake up on the verge of bankruptcy, totally aligned in my work and my life and excited about what I do, than wake up loaded and completely miserable because I feel like, what am I doing? I don't know why am I doing this, and how did I actually make, because so many people I've talked to have been in both of those types of situations.
Yeah.
And it's that when it's real, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going down the wrong road, you also know that. That's just a matter of, am I being honest with myself?
Right. Is that what you kind of felt when you started working with us? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could see it from when I walked in the office. I mean, so day one, it was smaller. You could see the progression from day one to now, from when I was here at least. And then, but you can see kind of looking back on it, how everything falls into place based on what you told me, what Shane told me, everyone else. You can see the progression and what you were saying coming to life. So it was a matter of, you have to do the day-to-day tasks to get it done, but you see it all, and you see how it plays out, and what you're saying isn't just, saying it, but you can see the bigger picture of it. And
yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So what else is going on, Jared?
What?
No, you've been busy.
It's all about me.
No, it is. Well, this is your show. This is your segment, your platform.
Yeah. So the thing that I've been wrapping up, and this has kind of been the main thing for me this past year, has been putting this executive foresight, but it's called the Foresight Academy now, putting this program together. This is a program that it pretty much been the core offering that I was doing with other companies, and they'd hire me to come in and teach them how to think like futurists. How do they change their mindset and the way they look at the world, and then how does that translate into the way that their culture changes, and then how do they put that into product? It can go on and on. It's a process, but it's basically teaching them how to do what I do. And for me, the exciting thing over the past few years is watching the individual people transform. I've yet to see it, and the reason why they transform is because I don't come in there and say, hey, look at this wonderful thing I've got, and do exactly what I tell you. It's really about teaching them how to make it their own from day one. So what I've started to realize is that this needs to be in the hands of more people, and I really wanted to make that more accessible. And so I've been really lucky to be affiliated with the University of Tennessee, the Haslam College of Business now, and on faculty with them. And we are doing a joint venture, if you will. They're co-branding the Foresight Academy. And so it's a new program that's going to really be geared towards teaching people actual real skills, the same thing that I've been doing with other companies, but making it more accessible at a much lower price point, because I honestly believe that this is the skill set that we have to have this skill set en masse, because we need to create a future where our descendants aren't going to look back and hate us, because right now I feel like we're definitely on target.
Yeah, so when you say give them this skill set, is that it's not to look into the future, right? It's to think like a futurist.
Yeah,
is
that's
that right?
Here's the difference. There are futurists that will tell you can predict the future, and that's a load of crap. Anybody who's worth their weight and actually knows and has been trained in foresight, has been trained about the whole purpose of looking at what the future might be, knows that the future is not out there to be predicted. Because it's really about how we think about the future. And I just want to address that because I think most of the attention is given to these predictions, whether it's by scientists, experts, other futurists, about what the future is going to be like in 50 years or 20 years, or this is exactly what's going to happen. And it's this thing is that we're living in such uncertain times, and because we're living in uncertain times, certainty sells. So if I can give you any sense of certainty, then I can maybe relieve you for a minute. It's like a painkiller. It's going to wear off in 4 or 6 hours. So instead of trying to predict the future, our goal is to get people to think more critically about what the future might be and recognize that it's always out in front of us. It's always out there waiting to be created. Because if you think you can predict the future, then you're making 2 assumptions. One is that the future is set in stone. So our goal is to predict it. Do you see the problem with that? Mm-hmm. That in and of itself completely debunks this idea that you can predict the future. The second is that the future is already being created by somebody else, and you better hope that it works out in your favor. So instead, and futurists we're all guilty of this. I mean, we marketed our services to corporations and associations, and so we've been reinforcing this message that it's you guys that are going to create the future. But the reality is that corporations, associations, these are made up of people. People create the future. And so we have to have more people thinking like futurists if we're serious about creating a future that's going to be good for all of us. It's going to be good for our children, right? It's going to be good for John here one day when he has kids, right? Because right now we are running headlong into a situation where we're taking bad advice and trusting bad guidance, and we just need people to be able to take that active role.
We've learned, right? So people have had an opportunity to learn from a lot of history and
watch
these. But you would think, and that's the idea.
Right, yeah.
But I love what you said. It's like, I want to teach people to do what I do.
Yes.
And it's not don't become an expert in everything that I do.
Yeah.
But you've done all the work.
Yeah.
So if you want, I can give you the classes, the books, the people, and spend those hours and hours and hours on doing this. Or they could contact you, talk to you, work with you, take your class, and all of a sudden it's like they know more than enough to be dangerous now.
Absolutely.
And then you're there to support them. And that's really in any business, right? That's what we talk about in marketing. Like, do you want to become a marketing expert? Do you want to read and study and talk to all the different people that we've talked to? Of course not.
No.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe you do. If you do, that's great. There's a lot of do-it-yourselfers out there, no problem. And you actually could learn it, right?
Yeah.
Everything, information exists out there all over.
I feel like I've been doing it this past year, getting into the e-commerce and because when you try to go from one-to-one to one-to-many, as I've thought about you guys, I'm like, oh man, I've gotten so deep in the weeds on these things and looking at different programs for automation and triggers and whatnot, and having high expectations. I'm just thinking this is a nightmare.
Yeah.
I just need to talk to Eric. I need Eric just to do all this for me. I can't handle it.
Yeah. So it's really knocking them down one at a time. It's having one conversation with one person and one email with one person, and then just building it up from there. And I think that's pretty cool. You can teach people to do what you do, think that way, and I think that's important. I mean, as I look out, and you did an article a while back, we piggybacked off that article. You had actually a video, I believe. It was about Blockbuster Video. And it's how Blockbuster wasn't thinking ahead. Now, again, extreme example, huge company, everybody knows who they are, but those extreme examples are fun to look at.
Yeah.
And as I look out the window, there's a PNC Bank where the Blockbuster Video used to be, and before it was Blockbuster Video, it was like a mattress firm or something.
What's going to take
now it was
PNC's
knocked
place?
down, right? So what's going to be instead of the bank? So it's just fascinating to me. Like, these businesses were changing so fast, and people didn't see this stuff coming. And then Netflix comes along, and Netflix pretty much disrupted themselves because they were doing the video, the mailed video, right? You get the disc, the DVD, or the Blu-ray. Well,
yeah, but here, so and I love that example. The story of Blockbuster and Netflix is a little misconstrued. A lot of people think Netflix came along and put them out of business. It's not true. Blockbuster went into bankruptcy. They were done 2 years before Netflix even came on the scene. And we don't think about that, because they were trying to get into this, we're going to try and catch up.
Right.
The issue with Blockbuster was not that they didn't see it coming. It's that they were too married to their own biases about their area of expertise. Because, when Viacom bought Blockbuster, they brought in ex-Walmart executives to have on the board to say, how do we restructure, how do we reshape this, because we were losing money. Because Blockbuster's, their revenue was tied to box office tickets. Mm-hmm. So they had a particularly bad year where nobody wanted to rent the movies that did so bad.
Yeah.
And so they had to say, okay, well, how do we change this up? So they brought Walmart execs in, and they pretty much retooled like they were a retail company.
They were selling candy.
They were selling candy.
Right.
They were selling stuff at eye level. The kids would be like, "Oh yeah, we need to do this." And then when
that drives me
flocked,
crazy, by the way. Every time I go to
God.
Old Navy and there's food and candy
Yeah,
everywhere,
yeah.
my kid's like, I'm like, get nothing. Like, this is crazy.
Nothing.
What?
Why are you so candy?
Why am I looking at it now, right?
That's right. But that was their thing. That's the strategy, right?
Right.
And then when that didn't work, what did they do? They fired those guys and then brought in 7-Eleven execs, and they rebranded like they were these, fast or these convenience stores. And that's where a lot of the candy stuff really started to come in.
Okay.
So what you really see there is not a lack of envisioning what could be coming down the road, but it's no, we've been doing this for so long and we're so big and we've got it figured out. They were so stuck in what they knew best that they could not challenge anything outside
So
of
they
that realm.
dabbled in other areas while keeping the old thing together, kind of
They
going
didn't
in two
even
different
dabble.
directions.
They said, 7-Eleven's successful is bringing their executives.
Yeah.
Walmart's successful, bringing them in. What did Walmart and 7-Eleven do? Well, they just made them look more like Walmart or 7-Eleven.
Right.
And they were completely missing the point.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's why thinking like a futurist isn't about, we dig in and just, trust the
You're going to
opportunity
invent
fit.
the next great thing, the next streaming video. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or you're going to actively challenge your own assumptions about how the world might be unfolding. They didn't do that.
Right.
They thought, no, that's not really going to work. Well, clearly they were wrong, and we've seen that with so many other organizations.
I mean, we're seeing it in the insurance business.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it's unbelievable what's happening. And we have agents, and they're like, don't send me the e-policy, send me the paper policy.
Oh, God.
Because it's too complicated. And I get it. These
I had
insurance
conversations
companies,
with-
the insurance companies are struggling, creating, and the systems aren't the best, but you get it, right? The idea is it's going in that direction. It's already gone in that direction, and it's happening a little bit at a time, right? Some industries are behind. The insurance industry is way behind the times when it comes to this. But you have so many agents out there. They just want, no, this is the way I do it, and this is the process going. I'm telling you right now, these people don't want to have you come to their house or to their office. They're busy, right? For a word we played on earlier. They and you don't probably want to go there because you are busy as well.
Yeah.
So why can't there be a better way to get this done?
Well, there already is. I mean, it's starting to happen. You see this with the DNA testing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, so we are contributing our data at a massive amounts of data we're giving away for free, not just in our shopping habits, what we browse or what we do, or the quantifiable self with our phones, being able to see how many steps we took in a day and all that. But when we take these DNA tests that are becoming more and more popular, we're giving our genetic information over to who knows what. Now, you think about that, and you look at advancements in science and technology, and these two things being blended. Life insurance, is a perfect model that fits right into mass customization, which is an oxymoron, right? But mass customization, your genetic line means that there are certain things you might be susceptible to, and if they have that type of information, it's no longer, we're going to use this actuarial table, right? Actuary tables are basically just the averages, right? Your average lifespan should be this because of these factors. Now it's going to be much more tailored to you, your genetic, code, everything else. And that creates some great and some frightening things, right? And those are the kinds of questions and discussions we need to be having. That's what it means to think like a futurist. That's also what it means to stay ahead of the curve and not get stuck in, well, give me some paper and come draw my blood.
Right.
No, I'll take a pill and I'll let everything that's in there send my data to your system, and we'll use an algorithm to determine what my actual premium is going to be.
Right.
And then as my genetic code starts to change a little bit, because maybe I can have it manipulated through genetic therapy. Now we're getting really out there, but that's around the corner.
Right.
Then maybe my
But
premium
that's
go
your
down.
point. Right. And
But
it's the amazing side of it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's also very scary.
Of course.
And then the manipulators come in there, and like you just said, and there's a lot of things that we can change in that.
Yeah.
So
So Jared, like since you're on the faculty at University of Tennessee, are you trying to hit these kids at a younger age so they come into it thinking like a futurist?
So where I'm at is in graduate and executive education in the business school. So my students are executives or business owners, either in the healthcare industry. This upcoming year, we're going to start doing some work with aerospace and defense. So I would love.
But you're around it. I mean, you're around students.
Yeah.
You're around the younger.
Yeah, I pass them in the hallway because, I'm not always, I'm not like what you'd think of, having office hours or anything like that. I mean, I still live here in Charlotte and travel to Knoxville periodically to work with, because again, these executive MBA students, they're all working in their jobs, so they come back maybe once, twice a year. So, yeah, but working with young people, I mean, not just college, but high school. I tell you what, it seems like the younger they get, like you start in middle school and get them thinking this way, they have not been jaded by what people tell them is impossible yet. And you get some of the most amazing stuff that comes from them when they start envisioning what the future might look like and actually tying it, through critical thinking. Yeah. So, college students need to be thinking this way for sure.
I agree, because a lot of it is it's so behind right now. Like some of the way some of the professors are teaching, some of the way the
dude.
college system is, like using textbooks that are from 2007 about marketing. That's changing every day. So I mean, I think having a futurist would be a game changer from my perspective, at least in the college world.
I think you're so right.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
No, yeah, and I take my hat off to UT because that was the big reason why we started talking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that at the graduate and executive education level, they're always looking out there, and they're not lying to themselves and going, oh no, people still want the same old stuff. No,
Right.
They know.
Yeah.
They're seeing companies come in offering their own education. They're seeing the governor's school or whatnot to say we can give you the same kind of education in half the amount of time and half the cost.
Yeah.
And they say that's problematic, so they have to differentiate themselves as well. And so that's what we're trying to do is look, how can we give something that's so unique, that is in high demand, that is not being offered in the vast majority of schools.
That's right. It's not, and it's. I think it's only time before. So what you were saying before is it takes one to do it, and it's time before just one of them does it. And it might create a domino effect. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
It's the future. It's futurist.
That's
We'll see. We'll see.
You're a smart guy, John.
Is the school using social media to put this stuff out, like what you're doing? Like the
beta. Sorry to interrupt you there, but it's not called a beta. It's not really beta. I mean, the program is done. It's really just a refined version of what I've been doing. So I'm getting ready in January. I'm going to be running 2 charter groups. One will be for executives or business owners. That's maybe 25 people. And so that will be a much more intimate, running them through this program and working directly with me on that. And then another one's going to be where I open it up to anybody that wants to take the program, and they're going to be providing me some feedback as we go along with that.
Yeah.
And that'll allow me just to have more data to say, okay, what exactly is there a certain part here that I'm seeing consistency where somebody just didn't get it, and then I can go back and refine that. So yeah, they will be using social media, but again, the more I've jumped into a lot of this marketing stuff and looking at it and seeing what other people are doing, Eric, you guys should be killing it out there, because I made so many assumptions that large organizations or groups were at least on top of basic like email segmentation, or automation, and they are not.
Yeah.
And it is like, wow, what is your open rate? Well, we're not really sure. Really? How do you have this segmented? We don't know. How are you talking to the right people? Well, we just wait to see. We don't want people to unsubscribe. I say let them unsubscribe.
Right.
You don't want people on your list
because they were going to unsubscribe eventually anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. Make the difference, make a point, and then let them decide. The people that side with you are going to become bigger fans. And we have 2 big examples I think that we could talk about. One is, and we're not going to call companies' names out, but we see their accounts, their stuff, their social media, and you're like thinking, wow, they're going to have a lot of content to share. They're going to have a great story to tell. They're going to have this, they're going to have that. And you're like, they're not using it. And then you go home, and like I talked about before, John and we like to watch sports. We see their big commercials come on. But what happens? I mean, this isn't anything novel, right? Everyone grabs their phone, their iPad, their computer, or they go into the kitchen and get something to eat or go to the bathroom. Like, they're not watching these commercials, and these commercials cost a lot of money.
That's right.
Again, this is very basic stuff, but it's the same point. Like, I guess it's not that basic because these large companies are doing it. So we deal with mostly smaller businesses and the business owner, and we believe this is the way for the business owner to make an impact because they have the opportunity to tell their unique story in a different way that the big companies are not. And even if you have an executive or someone at the big company, they would sit there and I would talk to these insurance guys. I'm like, man, you have a lot of good things to say. Why don't you say that? He said, Eric, I would love to, but my company won't let me say anything. I get to go to a website, pick a quote or something, and it says click to tweet, and I tweet that out.
Yeah.
Like, that's supposed to make a difference. And they're controlling their employees. And I get it. There's a lot of compliance involved, and that's an issue. That's an industry-wide issue. It's not the individual's issue. It's a big deal.
Right.
But this is where I think smaller businesses can make the difference. And John, you're in school and you're learning about these big brands.
Yeah. So actually, like for a few of my capstone classes and a few of my final marketing projects, we had to do marketing analogies and plans and strategies for these large companies. I'm not going to name them, but none of them are storytelling. None of them are creating content. None of them are on social media, which, I mean, it's 2017, you kind of have to be. But yeah, like he said, you drive down the road, you see a huge billboard in the middle of nowhere, which costs them a lot of money. You see a commercial on a TV station where no one's watching. We're picking up our phones to go on Instagram, to go on Twitter. Where these smaller companies could take advantage of that is to I mean, it's a lot cheaper to advertise on social media. It's a lot cheaper just to be on it and to go to your customer on there. So that's where the smaller companies can just grab a piece of that pie because they don't have the brand recognition. They don't have any of that. But they can go out and get that by doing what these bigger companies aren't doing, which is going to where people are, which is social media.
And I love that you guys are talking about that, because here's the other thing that I've discovered in this process. So I can speak to it from my own experience. When I talked about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I mean, the big revelation for me, there was a lot of things, but the big revelation was even in all my web copy, like there's two parts of us. This is the problem, is that we divided our work and our life. So when I was looking at my previous web copy or what I might be posting, if it's an article or whatnot, who am I talking to? Am I talking? What I was doing what everybody else was doing, and that is talking to these non-human entities. I'm talking to a corporation who's concerned about revenues, profitability, blah, 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 blah. Okay, fine. Those things are fine, but those should be secondary to a transformation in the leadership. Those should be secondary to people actually connecting with real people. That's what I discovered, is that the problem with social media and the confusion is that they're trying to market, like what Eric was saying. They're trying to market like they just bought a spot for the Super Bowl, which means that, and again, what's the underlying message when you are buying something based on eyeballs? The underlying message is you are not unique. You are a number, and I'm trying to get as many of you as possible. That's the problem. You take that same thing over into social media, and you're going to have the same problem. That's why there's people, these big companies, that might get 1 like, 2 likes, maybe somebody, or if they get a ton of, I remember Wells Fargo when they tried to put out something that was like positive, this and that. Oh, they had the flood of comments of just hating. Like, man, it was a flood. They were like, yeah, right, like we'd ever believe you again. I mean, it was massive. And the thing is, what's been left out, and I think of Nichols Kuzmich, when he and I had our conversation, is what's forgotten in social media is the social. Mm-hmm. People talking to real people. I had to realize this because that's what I've always loved, is having real conversations with people. So the struggle for me was, then why does my business look like I'm not talking to people? And that's what had to change. And so you're right. I mean, small businesses have a massive opportunity, and that is because small businesses are popular. They are. I mean, statistically, small business and military are the only things that are popular in the U.S. Everything else is like record lows. Yeah. And that's where they have a huge opportunity. But it's talk to people like real people. Real people.
It's that engagement. And John, you do a ton of this. It's how we get a lot of our guests on podcasts. It's how we create opportunities in our business. It's having a one-on-one conversation. So if I message a large company, they're not messaging me back.
Of course not.
But if I message John, and John's a business owner, and John sees it, and he understands what's happening here, we're just having a conversation. Now it's not, hey, John, do you need marketing help? I'd love to help you. I think we could really help you. When he didn't realize, if I would have gone in there and seen like, oh, John actually is a part of a marketing company. Yeah. So people aren't taking that, even forget the conversation. It's, do you know even who you're talking to? Right. We get conversation. We get people coming at us. Everybody does, right? We're not alone in this. Every single day. You need life insurance. Come work for our life insurance company. You need marketing. You need this. You don't know anything about me. Yeah. When you could have gotten on LinkedIn, you could have gotten on Facebook, and you could have picked up a couple things and started do it genuinely. Yeah. Because you can game the system that way too, but do it genuinely. If you talk about Ohio State and you bring it up, let's have a conversation about it. Are you just saying that, or do you actually truly want to have a conversation about it? Mm-hmm. That's the type of stuff that we're looking for. Because eventually, Jared, if I called you out, you would know if I'm trying to get somewhere with it. Oh, yeah. If I just want to have a conversation with you, like, man, I really like this guy. Like, nothing harmful is coming from this. We're just talking. Right. Like you said, we're people talking to people.
And I've had those conversations. Just yesterday, I had that conversation with a guy who owns a business 16 years now. They've been doing like branding and design. We connected on LinkedIn, and it wasn't a sales call. It was, he made a comment about one of my posts, and it was genuine. He was like, "Oh man, I love, this is around the time when I was realizing, man, it's people talking to people." And he said, "I love that you're talking about that." And we eventually set up a call. We've just have no idea if anything's going to ever come out of that, but that wasn't the objective. The objective wasn't what can I get from him and what can he get from me. It's hey, how can we start to actually build a relationship beyond the virtual connection?
But it's hard to get those, because a lot of times, even when you think you're going down that path, the next step at the end of those conversations a lot of times is, well, the next step is I'm going to send you this form, fill this out, and then let's set up a time for. No, I thought we were just having a conversation, and now you just you went too fast.
Yeah, unless they specifically say, "Wait, can you help me with that?" Say, "I can." Would you like me to say, "Yeah, sure." You're absolutely right. I've met some. I'm thinking of a guy, and I need to get you to have him on the show. There's a guy named Gary Frey, and he's great. He and I connected on LinkedIn, man. This guy's he lives here in Charlotte. He's super. He does a lot of stuff like with large organizations, helping them turn around and scale. But this guy is just one of the most genuine people. We connected on LinkedIn. It was like, we need to get together in person, and we did. And now he's somebody who I certainly look forward to hanging out with again. And he's the kind of person you think, yeah, these are the kind of people I want in my tribe. He actually cares. He actually is.
Well, you're not trying to, and you're not in that sense. And you're talking to this guy or anybody that you're talking to. You're being patient with everything that you're doing, and I think that's what we talk about a lot. And we circling back to earlier in this conversation is so many people are just trying to make the sale.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the thing that we're doing right now, we created a podcast. This I think is going to be the 25th episode we've done, and this is not like a shout out to us.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that this isn't leading to a sale.
No.
This is the truest, one of the truest forms of just putting out hopefully good content. We think it's pretty good, right? We hope some other people do. We know some people are going to think, this is a waste of time. Why are you doing it? It's okay. It's like you said, unsubscribe then if you don't want to listen. I have no problem with that, right? But it is truly being patient and having a conversation with good people.
Yeah.
The thing that I've taken from it the most is just talking to these entrepreneurs, like we talked about, the high energy people. Mm-hmm. The people, maybe not even high energy all the time, but they just have some things about them that you want to be around it. You want to hear what their story is, because I think those stories just stick with you no matter what. Because this is a roller coaster ride, as you know, Jared. This year has been a roller coaster ride. It's a roller coaster ride for everybody. You're not the only one, but you're living your roller coaster ride, and it's fun, right? There's downtimes, there's uptimes, but overall, you wouldn't have it any other way. I bet.
No. I mean, that's what growth is, right? You were talking about this earlier in the office. We were just over in the hallway there. So that so many people have this idea that it's supposed to be easy. Right? Because, I mean, that's what's being marketed. That's part of the social media thing. You can do it in these 5 easy steps.
Yep.
Bullshit. You can't.
Yeah.
I hope, is that okay?
You're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Just because it's you.
Thank you. That's the reality.
My kids actually, do they listen? I don't know.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Once in a while. Sorry, yeah. They've heard
I'm
worse.
not sorry. I'm going to keep it real, man. I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the truth. What I've realized, even in recreating this course and rebuilding everything else, that you want to play at a high level, you want to put something out that's really good, and that's going to really be impactful. It is not easy. It is hard, and you have got to do the work, and you have got to fail, and you've got to get to the end of the day sometimes and go, this isn't worth it, but I'm going to do it again tomorrow, because actually it is worth it. I've got, this is important, and I think that's why so many people are feeling like they've been duped.
Well, it's harder now to not be present. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's a good word.
But it's harder to hide in business right now. You have to prove your value. I don't care where you are in these large companies and small companies. You actually have to do something. I think John 20 years ago, you easily could. I think in a lot of companies, you could have come into our company and you could have hid. Mm-hmm. We didn't exist at the time, so I'm giving you an example of a company that never existed, right? But when you come in here, have you had an opportunity to be at the front lines? Right? Here you go, man. Go blow it, right? But how else are you going to learn? Because
that's the best thing.
I didn't bring you in to say, hey, John, we want you here for 3 months. Do the best you can, and then go back to school. We could, we have that with interns, and that's fine. But it was like, hey, man, our envision. I told you, I said, I want someone here post-college. So you're setting yourself up for your career. Come in here. So the only way to do it is to have conversations with actual business owners.
Right.
It's not that easy to do. Probably freak out a couple times, right?
So, I mean, at first you said that, I was like, I'll do it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was like, I'll do whatever. I was really open. I was like, let's do it. And, I mean, I spoke to other people in my college classes and my roommates and stuff. I mean, people who do internships usually, they're grabbing coffee, they're doing on the computer all day, filling out data and stuff. I mean, I didn't want to do it, not to say I don't have to do those types of tasks. I know my role as, I'm just starting out, I'm an intern. You have to do those types of tasks. But being able to talk to other business owners, being able to do, possibly make a sale, to go out and actually do real stuff, it's incredible. And I mean, I'm thankful for the opportunity, honestly. And I mean, taking advantage of it is something that I'd like to do. And I mean, it's great. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Some days you probably think around wow, all I did is send some dude comment on Twitter. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. So this goes to the point of Twitter's a waste of time. Twitter doesn't work. Or it's having these assumptions. I don't care if it's Twitter, if it's about taking a bike ride. Jared, you like bike riding, like whatever it is. I'm like, oh, that's a waste of time. Why would you ever do that? You're like, well, John's a perfect example of why Twitter might be the great. I don't know. I'm just talking.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit too, about myself, but you know.
So like, a little background on that, like real quick. I was sitting on my couch watching basketball, and I was like, it was probably about February-ish, and I was like, I really need to do something this summer because I wasn't required an internship.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I want to try to like set myself up. Everyone's complaining they don't want to get a job or they can't get a job. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I started typing in like internship Charlotte. I already applied to like 5 other internships. I was like, all right. And I saw a tweet from Eric. It was like, I think it was at like UNC Charlotte or something. He was like, if anyone's looking to intern, I'm looking for a marketing intern. So I shot him a message. I was like, hey, I'm interested in an internship. And then we started talking, came in the office, and now it's here. So it's really just going out and getting it and using these tools that are provided to you to do that, which is, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and you cut through the noise too, because I should find it and I should screenshot the message you sent.
Yeah.
Because on the top of his not on top of his message, like the other messages and below them, because I probably didn't get to it right away.
Right.
Are just spam. Like,
hey,
we'll be your social media. Let us help you build your Twitter account. And you're just like,
yeah.
These people are like,
who's
just who's responding to it? So it's a very good chance that I miss your message. If it falls down, I don't scroll down, I never see it, we never meet. But that's the amazing thing about it is like you have these tools, and if you send enough of these messages out, you never know.
Yeah.
You just never. But if you do it in a genuine way,
yeah, exactly. You see that all the time when we're just talking to people, whether it's to be on the podcast or just to have a conversation with them. I've dabbled with this. It was sending generic messages versus taking an extra 5 minutes, scrolling through their page, finding out who they are as a person, and adding another paragraph to the message. The ones who respond are the ones who you added, personalized another paragraph to the message versus the generic, hey, how's it going? Let's chat. I don't ever respond to those personally, and then I noticed when I was sending them to other people, none of them responded.
Yeah.
So taking the extra 5 minutes to find out more about a person, learn more about them, it goes a long way, and it ultimately helps you in the end, whether it's spending an extra hour or 2 a day doing it. It's totally worth it.
Can I
please
mention something that I've experienced on LinkedIn in particular?
Okay.
And Eric, we used to bash. That was just but again, that kind of goes back to me being misaligned, where I was like, let me just outsource everything. I don't even want to think about it. I'll create content. You post it for me.
Yeah.
I didn't understand social media, right? In the sense of like what we've been talking about today. It was more of a task to be handled. And there are certain elements of that, right? Certainly that's what you guys do really well. And I think the frustration came because you guys were always like, well, hey, look, let's take some time with this and let's think about, how do we really want to connect? And I was like, no, I want to hurry up.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yelling at me.
Yeah. I was like, what's your problem, Eric? It's like, we're not going to have a campfire around this thing. But when you start to really, again, my own learning, I'm a slow learner, but it's all about people. And I remember I connected with a guy on LinkedIn. You know how LinkedIn is a lot of times you can upload all your contacts, and then all of a sudden now you've got like 1,000 connection requests going out of like, these are people that I have, been on email exchanges with, and you don't remember how. And so I connected with the guy, and he sent me a message. And this guy's a legend in his circle. His name is Steve Solomita. And he and I are going to have a conversation. Well, he works in a hospital. He's like an account rep, I think something like that down in Florida. This guy would send private messages to you, and they were nothing but encouragement. Genuine, he's like, hey man, make today this, and that. Nothing cheesy, but it was just, that was impactful for me. It's like, oh my God, that's actually really cool. This guy actually, because it didn't look like spam.
And it's
not like
different, right?
Yeah, he had to have like thought through, or at least if he didn't, I think after getting to know him a little more, I think he did. But he took the time to send that. Maybe he copied the same thing and said, but who cares? Right. Who's sending that? Like most of the messages I get on LinkedIn are, hey, tell me a little bit about your business so I can know who to refer you to after we just connected. Like, you're not going to refer me. I could be, a mass murderer for all you know, right? That would be bad for you.
Right.
So, the point is that there's some real opportunities if you just stop and take the time to say, how can I talk to and connect with these real people? And that's where you see getting all that attention on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah, and LinkedIn's amazing right now, but it's also terrible. It's on both ends of the spectrum. Like the amount of engagement you can get on LinkedIn, the people you can reach out to directly. But again, you got to cut through so much noise. Everyone's out there trying to get the likes. Because people, you said before, like you see a company get one like, that one like might be all they needed. It's not about the number. It's not about how much you bench. right? It's not about how many employees you have. It's not about how many hours you work in the day.
That's right.
That one connection could be everything.
Yeah.
I mean, Jared, you've introduced us to people before. That was just you. So we spent all this time. You're like, why do you spend so much time with Jared? Well, he's a good guy, I think. He's got good business. He's got good ideas. He's connected. There was no intent in any of it, but that's what it is. So if you were the only person that liked the post, well, that would have been well worth it. As opposed to, no, we got to get 100 likes and 100. And don't get me wrong, the more you get, the better opportunity you have to reach somebody else, and that's great.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's just like that's maybe all that you need.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I think it depends on how you look at certain things, right? So if you're looking at things from a data perspective, then likes can show, or comments. Really, that's what you're looking for. That's where's the real question is how much engagement are you getting? But yeah, you're right. I mean, it could.
People don't like to sometimes, and this is hard. And I tell people, it's like if you like something, like it. If you want to comment on it, comment on it. But I also understand not everyone wants to do it. No matter where you are, no matter what platform, there's always more likes than most likes. Then there's shares, and then there's comments. Comments is the least. And pick any platform, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, doesn't matter. It's always the least amount of things. However, I'll hear from people say, I saw your post on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And you go to that post, and they never said anything about it on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But that's okay, right? Because that's the way they want to handle it. But they can still have a conversation with you when it comes to, in their own way, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We just had Rudy Rudolpherson,
yeah,
our good friend.
Yeah,
come on, pump in here, man.
Yeah.
It's like,
don't worry, we'll edit this out.
No,
it's at 45 minutes and 10 seconds, John.
I would love to contribute to this conversation. Don't even know what the conversation is about, but you guys sound like it's really deep, man.
Come on,
Jared. I think we covered a lot. We did get interrupted there at the end, but it was a good interruption, and that's what it's all about. It's not supposed to be scripted, and I think that's what John. I think that's 2018 is more. You don't have to always change it at the certain date. Like I think if you want to make a change, you make the change immediately. Change your business, but it's always fun too at the beginning of the year to make some changes. And I think the unscriptedness. I think as you get more comfortable in creating, you're really good at this, Jared. You just create stuff. Like you have videos and you're just like, I'm going to go out there and make a fool of myself. Who cares, right? And it doesn't say we want to make a fool of ourselves, but the idea is the more you create, the more you put yourself out there, it's good to just let it go. Just let it be unscripted. And things are going to happen in the middle and people are going to walk in and who knows what that person could add to the table.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I don't know. But
it makes sense.
Okay.
It does.
Yeah. That's good.
We're just going to own it.
Yeah, let's own it. I mean, it's unscripted, so I think it was very good, and appreciate you spending time with us.
Thanks for letting me come back on.
Yeah, I hope episode number 2.
Current guest.
I mean, this is episode 25. It's the silver anniversary.
I'm really impressed.
The average podcast lasts 7 episodes.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot. That just shows you like how much are out now. There's people who have 1,000 episodes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But.
Yeah, the best podcasts do like daily shows.
Yeah.
I need a job.
Well, that's a business when
yeah.
you just do that.
Yeah.
Like there's people, and we're getting on some podcasts this year, and they do a show a day or do many a week, and there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah.
But the unscripted aspect, it just allows you to get your thoughts out there faster and just real.
It sounds.
Let me ask a question.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Ask John, because
let me ask you guys a question
us,
for your listeners here.
Mm-hmm.
What is the one thing going into 2018 that all of us can do differently? Since you guys are experts in content marketing and social media, that we can do differently in social media to really connect and stand out, and just really let people know that we actually give a shit.
I mean, I think it's easy. I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
What is it?
I was going to say just send personalized messages, personalized comments, personalized likes, and just connect with the people for who they are, not just commenting on someone's picture and saying nice or cool picture, but actually having a personalized conversation, which then could lead to a friendship or even a sale. I mean, you never know. I mean, but
that's it. I mean, I usually say that. It's just real conversations, and it's funny. People are going to say, that's a waste of time, and that's weird. And I get it, right? When you first start out, it is weird, and seems like a waste of time, but it's amazing the people, the conversations, the clients that we've gotten out of just having real conversations with people more than anything else. I've told clients this a lot recently. They come to us, and they want to work with us, and the business is growing, it's all this. I'm like, listen, here's the deal. If you want someone to manage your Facebook page and manage your Instagram page, I can introduce you to thousands of people. Some people I don't even know, but I'm sure they would do a fine job. It's about taking it to that next step of having real engagement with real people. And that's it. And what does that look like? It totally depends. That's a whole other podcast to talk about how to use Instagram, how to use Twitter, how to do this, how to do that. And just be yourself. Like, I think so many people are just creating this thing. It's like, we can create an image on Instagram and the picture's there, and we can try to get people to like it. And yeah, that's part of like the management of it, but it's actually like the real live engagement. And when someone says, hey man, I do really like that. I love the part when you said this. Like, that person's asking you to give them feedback back to them, and then you have a conversation you don't know.
Yeah.
But again, it's exactly what John said.
Yeah. Well, and what you were saying, when people go, oh, I don't know, that's weird, that immediately made me think the only way it is weird is if you're looking at it as a tool that it's not intended for. If you're looking at it like buying an ad for the Super Bowl or doing mass marketing, then it's weird because because those things are not designed to talk to people, right? It's not weird if you actually use the social element of the media, which is actually connect with real people.
Right.
So
it becomes more than that. It's not. So when John, going back to that and relaying, that was real people talking to real people.
Yeah.
Right. That leads to some Twitter comments back and forth, right? Or Twitter message, whatever you want to call it, direct messages. It leads to an email, a phone conversation, a meeting, more emails, more phone conversations. Right?
Yeah.
So when you go, it's like taking the old and with the new, combining them together. It's just a tool. It's no different than sitting in a meeting and having a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
It's just, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Yeah.
But use the tools that are available because they've never been available before.
Nope.
And last thing, I got to say this. The iPhone comes out, right? These new devices, this computer that John has, the microphone that we have. People are like, this stuff costs so much money. Why would you spend $1,100 or $900 on an iPhone? And it's like, because it's not a phone. It's not just a phone. It's only one part phone. It's this enormous device that allows you to do so many different things with it. Like, you can connect with people like you've never. Right. And he's holding up some sort of selfie stick, which is weird and awkward and all. But it's like you can do so much with these things.
Yeah.
And you can build I honestly feel like I built my business on my iPhone. Now, there's other aspects of it, of actually getting out and having a conversation and believing a thing and reading books and talking to people. But if it wasn't for the iPhone or a device like that, the business doesn't get built. We built the entire marketing business around that device.
Yep.
So, yeah.
The key, right, is that these are tools.
Right.
Social media is a tool to allow you to connect and create and contribute.
Mm-hmm.
We can't lose sight of that.
Right.
Because if we're treating people like objects, like these, oh, it's an iPhone, why would I pay $900 for a phone? Well, like you just said, it's not a phone. But, so then my goal is to have good technology, reach tons of people, but you're not really reaching people, you're going after numbers. We got to stop looking at the tools like they're the end-all be-all, right?
Right.
We have to be in alignment and understand with our life and our business, why do I have this mic? Why do I have this ridiculous, because it's fun to make these ridiculous videos with the kids. But, that's really, at the end of the day, then you can make justifications for what you're spending and what it is you're trying to do and contribute to.
Yeah, and then, I talked to one guy specifically a lot, Zach, he's one of the guys we talk to a lot in New York City. He's a trainer. He talks about investing a lot. He talks about not investing money, but investing time, investing himself, investing in his clients. Like, they help. If they get in good shape, he invests in himself. So ultimately, that's what these are. Purchasing a $900 iPhone is an investment for your company. Spending an hour a day talking to people on Instagram is an investment for your company, which is the ultimate goal for every business owner, from what I've seen at least. Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. So, Jared, here we are at the end of this podcast. This is going to be a segment. It became something larger. I think with our podcast, like we talked about, unscripted, we're not going to get ourselves caught into something that we just try to fit into every week. That's not what it's about. Yeah. It's about giving good content to good people that are interested in learning. But you've been our guest. We appreciate, again, the time that you spent.
Thanks for having me on.
We want you to have, so we do in every podcast, we want you to have the last words.
Oh, I've had too many words.
You've had a lot of words, but encouragement, words of encouragement for the audience of you can do it, right? Whatever that is. And then how should people get a hold of you? Because I think we have some listeners that would be like, who's this guy? And I would say listen to episode 2 and come back and listen to episode 25. It's pretty amazing stuff and all of them in between. But go for it. Last words and how do people get a hold of you?
So last words of encouragement. Something that I always want people to, that's my heart, that I want people to recognize in themselves, that the future is always out in front of you. It is not set in stone. It's out there waiting to be created. And our role in that is deciding whether or not we let somebody else do it for us, let somebody else create it for us, or do we take an active role in creating it for ourselves? And the way that starts is by getting really honest with who we are, where we are, and going for it, and finding the people that you want to build together with. You don't have to be a futurist to create your future, but you do have to be honest with yourself, and you do have to actively look and find those that are trying to create something that is bigger than themselves. So I say that you have that. We live in a divided time, and society is really very divisive, and people are trying to take sides on every issue. It's okay to be in the middle. That's the safest place to be, and it's also the most comfortable place to be. So I say that. If folks want to get a hold of me, I mean, one, you can, of course, visit the website at thenewfuturist.com, or you can reach out to me directly on email at jared@thenewfuturist.com. And then, of course, there's social media, LinkedIn, Facebook. There's Twitter and Instagram, but Eric handles my Instagram, which, so I'm never really on there. But LinkedIn and Facebook are good ways to reach me as well.
Excellent.
Those are too many words,
yeah,
right?
man.
Should I do it again?
No, let's do it one more time. Yeah. It was fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
We're out of here.
Jared and John, it was absolutely awesome having you on this podcast. From their energy and practical insight to the perspectives they bring as a new futurist and social media producer, both in their businesses and on this podcast specifically, are now perspectives you as a business owner and entrepreneur can use for yourself. And for that, Jared and John, thank you. And for any individual looking to learn more about thinking like a futurist, I would encourage you to contact Jared. And for anyone looking to learn how to kickstart your social media initiatives, I would encourage you to reach out to John. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me directly. You can contact me on Twitter at Eric_Kaz or with the same name on Instagram, or you can find us at KazSource.com with links to us on the different social networks. Thank you for listening to our KazSource podcast, Entrepreneur Perspectives, building and protecting your business one podcast at a time. Till next time, we're out of here. A big thanks to Rods Racing for their support of this podcast and allowing us to contribute to their inspiring cause. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. It's a big deal to us. We hope you found value in it, and if you did, we would be incredibly grateful if you gave us a review on iTunes. Remember to subscribe to this podcast and feel free to share it with anyone you know. More than anything, thank you again for listening. We appreciate it.